We'll
Absolutely.
break it down. So just to back up a little bit, again, this whole notion of peak oil, it's actually been discussed for many years. It was invented by Mr. M.K. Hubbert back in the 50s, 60s. And so already people had foreseen that, again, oil is a finite resource. We are taking it out of the ground. We're producing it and consuming it. And he actually created this curve which describes his prediction of how this whole thing will play out. So based on his curve, which we'll put up on the screen, you see that the production of oil, this is specific to the United States, but it peaks at around 1980 and then starts to tail off like a bell curve and eventually dwindles down into the 20s and 30s. Now, this graph, as you'll see, the red line, what is it showing? Well, it's showing the actual production of oil in the United States. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, and you look at that bell-shaped curve, that's the ideal peak curve, the theoretical curve that Herbert developed.
Right.
It's symmetrical, and he based that curve, backing up a little bit, is he noticed that in a single oil well, it behaved in a certain manner following this bell curve. And then he noticed also that you could apply that same bell curve to a whole field of oil wells. So then he went even further and said, can we apply this to a region? Can we apply this to a country? And there's, people have gone even further to try to, apply this to the global situation of oil. But as precise that may be for an individual well, it seems that it's not necessarily the best representation when you move to larger regions. As you can see, right, for the U.S., they started to follow it pretty closely, but then the peak was, I believe it was estimated about, what actually occurred was about 17% greater than what was predicted. And then it began to decline, and then suddenly, in around 2008, starts to shoot back up again.
So this might be one of the arguments you would come across from a peak oil denier. They would say, okay, look, like the facts, don't add up.